spooky, and creepy real stories. This isn't a paranormal story, but it is definitely scary and very, very true. I was visiting a friend in another state for Halloween 2016 and her boyfriend was going to be our DD. He was not feeling well day of and we decided to Uber ourselves downtown and back instead of dragging him out of bed. We go out, have a blast, and the bars are shutting down for the night, so we call up our Uber. We get in the car and since I'm not familiar with the city we are in, my friend is in charge of getting us to where we are heading, and I was tasked with ordering a pizza so it would be waiting when we get back to her place. About 5 minutes into the ride, my friend tenses up and tells the driver, "Hey, why are you getting on the freeway? You don't have to get on the freeway to get to where we are going." The driver ignores her, and she turns to me and goes, "This isn't right, we are driving away from my house." This was when it finally clicked for me that we were in some serious trouble and something isn't right. She turns to him again and yells, "What the fuck? Get off the freeway and let us out now." He looked over his shoulder at us and in the quietest, calmest voice I have ever heard said, "Do you really think you're getting out of this car?" Something to know about me is I am not great in high-stress situations. I go blank, I freeze. This is definitely one of those times. I happen to be wearing heels, and my friend reaches down and grabs one off of my foot and starts beating the driver in the head with the shoe. Thank God she did, because he must have decided that whatever he was planning on doing wasn't worth it. He pulls over to the side of the freeway and we bail out of the car and start running towards the exit. He zooms off. We end up being in the middle of the industrial part of town, and it is very, very isolated and we are alone. We can't request another Uber because we don't want a chance that this person would pick up the request and come back. She is frantically calling her boyfriend and he isn't answering. I am pleading with her to call the police because I am scared and we had just escaped an abduction attempt. She is adamant that she doesn't want the police involved and finally gets a hold of her BF and he comes to get us. The next morning I decided that we have to report this to the police. The good thing about Uber is we have his name, picture, plate number, etc. I convince my friend that we have to report this and she pulls up her account to get this information. That is when we realized that the driver had ended the ride in the app at that 5-minute mark when he got on the freeway as if he was dropping us off at our destination. This would then end the GPS tracking of the ride. My whole body went cold and I think this is when my friend realized that the severity of what had happened. I called the police and had the most surreal conversation I have ever had. The person taking the report had never even heard of Uber and was so confused about the idea of an app that lets people with private cars become taxi drivers that she isn't listening to the important part, where this person had tried to abduct us. She keeps telling me this doesn't sound like a big deal, you got in a taxi that didn't take the route home you wanted, take it up with the taxi company. I asked to talk to her supervisor, who gets on the phone and acts like I am blowing this out of proportion, but he grudgingly takes the report. I keep telling him I know exactly who this person is, because I have all of the information from Uber to identify the driver. He keeps asking me how I know all these things about someone who I supposedly had never met before. This was when I realized why my friend didn't want to call the police. They were not going to do anything. I still think about this a lot. I know that this probably isn't a one-time occurrence and worry about who this person is going to hurt next or has already hurt. I am grateful I didn't end up murdered in a field or chained up in basement somewhere.